All right, conspiracy time. Police hunt for gunman after UnitedHealthcare CEO is killed in Midtown Manhattan. Now, this story has captivated the public. It's all over the place, as it should be. A man was killed early in the morning, 6 in the morning, broad in the morning, in front of Midtown, Manhattan. This story has so many ways it can go. I've seen all the possible scenarios. The easiest one that people are going with is that this is a disgruntled man who someone in his family is suffering an ailment or illness, or someone passed away and they're not getting a payout, or something happened, and so his revenge was to kill the CEO of the company because of what they've done. I'm sure y'all been on social media. People have been giving stories of how this United Healthcare company just fucked them. This insurance company just fucked them over. But that's too easy to think it's that simple. Because if you watch the video, and I'm not going to show it here because obviously YouTube, they're kind of iffy with allowing you to show stuff like that. When he walked up on him, shot him, gun jammed, shot him, and gun jammed again. He was able to unjam his weapon. Silencers on the weapon. Apparently he had a backpack on, and in the backpack, I guess they found it later on, he left the backpack somewhere. He had Monopoly money in the backpack. Now, that reminds me, because the whole public, for the most part, from what I've seen, the public is completely on his side. Everybody's saying they're not giving any information. They're not going to help get this man up out of here after he ran. He apparently he's not even in New York anymore. So they think he's somewhere out of the state, so he might be anywhere in the country. You see people around in New York protesting about dressing in the same clothes they think he was in, with the jacket and the backpack and the mask on. And this reminds me so much of that movie Joker, the first one. I forgot the guy's name, where he killed the two bankers in the train because they were bullying him. And then it led to such a class war throughout Gotham, that you had people dressing like him, wearing the clown mask to represent the war that was going on with the quote unquote haves and the have-nots. So people are doing that now. You see here, police manhunt. The executive Brian Thompson was shot in what the police described as a brazen targeted attack outside a hotel where the company was holding an investor meeting. The assailant was last spotted in Central Park, investigators said at a news conference. Yeah, once he got in Central Park, it was already over. That clearly was the plan, to disappear through Central Park. Let me play this right here, though, because there's another possible reason why this might have happened.
You think that they know who he is? You think that they have his identity?
It's a good chance. It's a very good possibility with these new photographs that they already know who he is. Mm-hmm. It's a very good chance of that. But I want to say something else that I know these criminal investigators are looking into as it relates to motive. There have been times when people have orchestrated their own demise for certain reasons. We know that there was some, and I'm not saying this is the case, but as an investigator,
like for insurance purposes? Absolutely,
insurance purposes. Maybe they fear some type of investigation down the road. Maybe they want to leave their family in a good light. But there have been cases where people have orchestrated their own demise. And here's another reason.
And just to say, you're saying in a nice language, you're saying that it is a possibility.
It is a possibility
that he hired somebody to kill him.
That's not completely insane. Virginia says, crazy some reports try to describe him as a light-skinned man. You know, when I first saw that, it made me think of something, because we've been seeing for the past couple of years this idea of disaggregating data and separating people's ethnicity from just the racial component. And when I saw it said light skin, it was, to me, obviously, it was clearly a white dude. I thought maybe they're trying not to immediately call him Caucasian because they're trying to make sure he's not Arab or some Middle Eastern or some South American or something. Even though we consider that still white, maybe they're separating their ethnicities and their groups as well. So they use the term light skin for what it actually is, which is just light skinned person, a person with less quote unquote melanin. Maybe they're separating. They didn't want to completely throw it on a white person so quick as well.
Absolutely. It cannot be ignored. My and this is what is really digging at me as a former criminal investigator. This guy knew too much about where he was going to be at a specific time. There's no evidence that I've seen of him. When you look at the timeline of him coming to that area outside of the Hilton and where he was outside of the Hilton, it's a very small window. Very small window. It's not like he was roaming around. We have video of him roaming around, going from one door to the next, trying to figure out where he's going to be at a specific time.
He knew.
He was there. He was laying in wait. Who would have that specific type of information as to what sidewalk he was going to be on?
Okay.
Well, when that goes into another thing where he could have given the information to the person, obviously, for obvious reasons. He, like I said, he's either trying to get a insurance payout on his own, he's trying to protect his family from a possible investigation that's coming, or I've heard a theory that he was possibly going to be testifying against someone, wink, wink. You know, Arkansas, another person that would be part of the Arkansas body count. But it could have been somebody who's on that board with him that knew where he was going to be. Because I think he was on his way to some sort of conference or something like that. So, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, that's
saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way a criminal investigator's mind works, and it's important. It's important.
Let me show this now. It says, torrent of hate for health insurance industry follows CEO's killing. The shooting death of UnitedHealthcare executive in Manhattan has unleashed Americans' frustrations with an industry that often denies coverage and reimbursement for medical claims. The fatal shooting on Wednesday has of the top UnitedHealthcare executive Brian Thompson on the Manhattan sidewalk has unleashed a torrent of morbid glee from patients and others who say they have had negative experiences with health insurance companies at some of the hardest times of their lives. It is unclear what motivates the incident or whether it was tied to Mr. Thompson's work in the insurance industry. The police have yet to identify the shooter or is still on the loose. Who is still on the loose, I'm sorry. But that did not stop social media commenters from leaping to conclusions and from showing a blatant lack of sympathy over the death of a man who was a husband and a father of 2 children. Virginia said, you know, the world is ending when pales no longer have much of empathy for pales. DT assassination attempts, now this guy, exactly. When Donald Trump, when that assassination attempt came, everybody and mama said, okay, the elections is over. The Democrats may as well just drop out of the race. Trump is going to win. It's going to be a bull run. It's over. But within a week, maybe 2, people, we saw on the day of the shooting, you had people on social media saying they wish he would have aimed better, laughing and wishing and hoping that somebody would try it again. So this situation, we know with Trump, that was 8 to 9 years, maybe a decade of public propaganda that came from news media that convinced them that he was the worst thing ever. I mean, they sat here and told us that Trump was a fascist, and then now he's sitting at parties with Jill Stein and Biden is sitting next to him, smiling, willing to pass over the power peacefully. But this is a person who was supposed to fear, but now you're friends with him. We know how that goes, though. Let me move forward. Thoughts and deductibles. Thoughts and deductibles to the family. Read one comment underneath the video of a shooting posted online by CNN. Unfortunately, my condolences are out of network. Damn. On TikTok, one user wrote, I'm an ER nurse, and the things I've seen dying patients get denied for by insurance makes me physically sick. I just can't feel sympathy for him because of all of the patients and their families. The dark commentary after the death of Mr. Thompson, a 50-year-old insurance executive from Maple Grove, Minnesota, highlighted the anger and frustration over the state of health and healthcare in America. I also saw you have a lot of people who it can be a gift and a curse. People who are very empathetic of other people, have the ability to feel for other people. But when all these people were making these jokes about his death, and people were saying you only hate him because you want to quote unquote eat the rich. And I just thought, well, do you know how these people think of you? These millionaires and billionaires, particularly billionaires especially, they look at the average person in this country as just a useless eater, a mouth breather, just moron. They look at you, they look at us a certain way where we're in their way of their utopia. Our very existence makes their life worse because we're alive. people are starving. If you just kill off all these useless people, you won't have to worry about hunger. You have to worry about what they call global warming, none of this stuff. And they've been coming together for centuries trying to find a way to get rid of the bulk of you. I remember that statue that was in Atlanta that had the number they want to get down. I think it was 500,000 people, and then it got destroyed randomly. So the way they think of you is they look at you as an ant. So even though you may hate them and laugh at their calamity, they think way worse of you. Messages that law enforcement officials say were found on a bullet casings at the scene of the shooting in front of Midtown Hotel, delay and deny, are two words familiar with many Americans who have interacted with insurance companies for almost anything other than routine doctor visits. Yeah, the Georgia Guidestones randomly got blown up. I don't know if that was just some person who was against the quote-unquote New World Order, and so in their anger they decided to blow it up, or if because of its existence, it led to people being more prepared for possible things that had coming. I don't know. Let me move to this though. As they were kicking his back in as he was dead, you saw all these other CEOs start living in fear, which maybe they should live in fear. Let me. All right. Let me show this. UnitedHealthcare CEO killing Spurs send to hold virtual meeting ensures to pull exec photos. So now they're saying because of the killing of this CEO and because they don't know, they can't find the guy. They don't know if this is something that might be a planned thing for multiple companies. They want to take their names and photos off of listings, which people are already taking the pictures off the websites and posting them on other places just in case you try to take their names off. The killing of UnitedHealthcare Brian Thompson spurred a big Medicare insurer to hold a virtual investor day instead of an in-person event at New York Stock Exchange. Other major health companies, including UnitedHealthcare's parent company, UnitedHealth Group, removed photos of executives and board members from their websites. Thompson was fairly shot outside a Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan on his way there. We know this part. Something else that happened that was interesting was, what's this guy's name? There's this right-wing content creator. I can't think of his name now. He's Jewish. Ben Shapiro. That's his name. Ben Shapiro, he made a video speaking about people's reaction to the CEO being killed, saying the left wing is cheering on death and murder. And unfortunately for him, when you go into the comment section, it was a bunch of quote-unquote right-wingers saying it ain't just the left-wingers. We're cheering for his death as well. This is where that talking point that class is over racism, because if you can convince the entire society that they're all being done dirty, you might be able to convince them to overthrow the people that are doing them wrong. But then this is where white supremacy comes in, because as long as I'm told that I'm better than you and I can live more comfortable than you, then I'm okay with the person over me being, 5, 10, 20, 100 times richer than me. Then it says Prince Philip was quoted as stating he wished to return as a deadly virus to help solve the issue of overpopulation. Exactly. And it's funny, when he died, by the way, what we get hit with. I'm not saying it was when Prince Philip died, we got COVID. And then with Prince Philip and those people that speak on this overpopulation situation, it's like I always say, it's as simple as when you get into a plane and you look down off the plane, it's so much open area. It's so much green. It's empty. You realize how empty this country really is. It's supposed to be somewhere between 350 million people in this country, but when you fly over this country, when you're going from Washington to North Carolina or somewhere like that, you just flying for 4, 5, 6, 7 hours, you realize how empty this place really is, and it is what it is. Then I'm fascinated by the fact that pales think they're better when they're average like everyone else. Well, but I have no problem with a culture going out of their way to build up the esteem of their people. I've been talking about it for months now, what affirmative action, all this stuff is really about. They're trying to convince their young men to have pride and think that you're actually above average. Hey, what up, Kiefer? The goal is to convince people that you are above, convince your people, that you are above average. We've done it. with the whole Black Power movement and how special we are. So I won't speak against them doing that for their own, but it does lead to some delusion, and it leads to them wanting to shoot themselves in their foot because it ain't what they think it is. Virginia says they not dynamic. DEI has been deemed didn't earn it, but you got nepotism. Yeah, that's true. So now they running scared, but it ain't gonna work out for them. Hold on.
Well, right now at 6:30, outrage over a policy change by insurance.
All right, let me make sure I got this in order. Because right after the shooting, there was an announcement about anesthesia being something that is capped in policies, and it quickly got changed. Let me show this.
Well, right now at 6:30, outrage over a policy change by insurance giant Anthem is causing the company to back down.
Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield wanted to limit how long anesthesia can be used for, and Connecticut has now stepped in to stop this.
Channel 3 Eyewitness News reporter Owen Kingsley is live in Hartford, right outside the state comptroller's office, explaining the steps that were taken to get this in action.
Well, this all started Thursday, guys. Or rather, I apologize. Yeah, actually, it was just yesterday on Thursday. The state's comptroller, Sean Scanlon, he gave a call to Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield and got them to back down from this proposed policy change. Now, Scanlon,
Now, I don't know if it was that call or if it was the news that was in the media at the moment with somebody who was a part of this situation, these insurance companies getting shot down.
He oversees health care for hundreds of thousands of state workers and their families. The policy would have covered Anthem's plans in Connecticut, New York, and Missouri. It would have limited the use of anesthesia during surgeries and medical procedures. The only exclusions were for those under 22 years old and maternity care. The big concern was this could have resulted in denials of coverage for patients who may need more anesthesia because their surgery was difficult, unusual, or if there was a complication.
And this is why I realized when my mother passed away, I immediately realized that you know it before, but it hit you like a brick. Because when she passed away, and you realize what this idea of healthcare, which is really death care, when you have to make plans for someone's death decades before they actually die, and you realize this. And I'm not completely against the idea of capitalism, but unchecked, this country is so greedy. It's so greedy, and they're willing to just do so much wickedness for $1 that you're never surprised by how far these companies and people will go. People says, I hope RFK looks into this stuff as well. RFK, he has the chance to be so impactful in a good way, but I don't trust politicians. We'll see. He said it the second he get in, he want to get rid of food coloring or dye or something. There's a couple of things he immediately said he wants to get rid of. We'll see. We'll see what RK Jr. does.